Okay, greetings everyone. Putting this quick screencast together, although it's probably not going to end up being quick, but let's try to get it done as quick as possible. But it's important. It's been quite a while since there's been a significant update, and it's not because there's no work being done. It's just that this is a really kind of a large update, and some of it's not going to be visually apparent like right away. But you'll start to notice more things because getting this release done laid out a bunch of the groundwork or some of the groundwork that has been ongoing to get stuff working the way it needs to be working so that we can do better, more features and make this whole thing better as we move forward. One of the challenges of developing with this platform right now is it's got a lot of legacy code in it. Not as so much anymore, but what I mean is just before kind of even doing this release, and even the one before that, much of the work is kind of taking old legacy code and retooling it and making it work with newer technologies. Stuff that just makes the user interface better, a little more snappy, easier to navigate, things like that. So let's just go through the big ones, and then I'll sort of save the smaller stuff for the end in case you don't want to look at all that. So the very first thing that you're going to notice, and you're going to probably have already seen this, perhaps, is the login screen is different. It's just been modernized a bit. There's now two panes, and this actually is responsive. So if I use my dev console over here and I switch to the mobile view, it will actually change the layout appropriately. Let's switch it back over. This part right here, I mean, you can still do custom code on the login page. And so these buttons here and some of this stuff down here is just stuff I added as a sample. So if you're looking at yours and you're like, hey, where's the where's the buttons and stuff? You can put whatever you want in there. There's a in the general settings, there's a tab for putting custom HTML, and one of the elements is on the login page. A lot of you have done this. I've seen on your portals that you have it, and so it will go here. So you might want to tweak it a little bit now that the interface has changed. Some of you that have a bit more customization, maybe on this login page, like we've done maybe some custom CSS, style sheet stuff. You might have to do a little tweaking. I will tell you that prior to going live with this, every single, just without almost exception, every portal has been at least looked at to make sure that it rendered properly. And if it didn't, we just did our best to try to make a few tweaks to it to make sure that it looks presentable. But what you might want to do is just go in and tweak it a little bit. So I'm going to show you that next, so that because you're going to say, well, how do I make it look better? How do I change my colors? I don't like some of them. Not a big deal. It's actually going to have even more options than we used to have. All right, so I'm gonna go through this this whole login part as well, because this has changed a bit, and it's one of my favorite things about this release. So I'm gonna get into that next. But let's just log in here first and take a look at the customization for this login page. All right, so here we are on the dashboard. I've got dark mode enabled, and it's not enabled by default still. I'm going to leave that up to you guys. I always turn it on because I just don't like bright screens, but it does negate for some people who do like custom headers and stuff. If you turn this on or off, it will actually remove that. So it's up to you. All right, let's go into settings. Let's go down to customize colors and logo. I will tell you, I'm not like really happy with this layout. It's just too clunky, and I think it needs to be organized better. So I'm probably going to either create more tabs or somehow organize this a little bit better. Because now that the login screen preview here is bigger, so that we can actually see what it's going to look like, and it just the information or the places where you customize that is here. It's just like everything's just too mixed together. I'm not too happy about that. But in the meantime, this does work. So let me just show you what you're probably going to want to be touching and messing with initially, and that's usually these. All right, so one of the things that is different now is it used to be that you could choose a logo and you could click here and then upload, you know, and crop it. All right, so now that the crop is just square, it used to be that it was a little wide so it would fit in the old login window, but now that that's different, the aspect ratio is square, but you're not limited to square or that specific size anymore. So if you click on this one, it will let you upload the logo with no crop. So it'll literally just take the image that you choose. If it's JPEG or I would recommend PNG just so you can keep transparencies, but you don't have to. But upload it this way, and then what will happen is it will render right here just as is. All right. And then if you want to tweak it some more, you can go into custom login CSS and actually add some CSS rules here. And the way to know what that's going to look like or what you should do to tweak that is actually look at the live login page. Let's pull that up. So like for example, if I'm on the login page, I can like right click in here and click inspect and drag I can see like this is the class on this one is login logo. And so you can actually add, let's go back to the other one. In here, you can put, you know, login logo and just add, oops, whatever CSS rules you want to put in there. If you want to restrict or change the size or maybe the padding, you can fine tune all that right there. All right. And then on the custom Portal CSS, that's something we already had before. And that isn't for the login page, it's just for the user interface for the customer side of the portal. So if you need to do some stuff to tweak that, you can do that here. We had this one here before, but it was only we could edit it. It was just for some customization stuff, and now you guys have access to that as well. So that was added. One thing also that you can do that was available in the settings in the backend, but again wasn't available to the end user, was you could turn off and on, like if you want this to show the company name. So here I've got it turned off and turn it back on. So I can toggle this off and on because some people, the logo is in, or sorry, the name is in the logo and it's redundant. So in that case, you might want to turn that off and then, you know, and save your settings. And then that way, when you're on the login page here, it will, here, let's do it. We turned it off, right? And then save it. Let's look at it here. Let's reload. And now it doesn't show the name. So in my case, I'm going to leave it on. But if you have a logo and your company name is inside of it, you might want to just not show that. Totally up to you. Okay, and then the rest of it is being able to change the background colors on here's the accent pane and then the main one. So you can go in here and this is the main one. So if I want to say I want to lighten this a little bit, I can do that and adjust right to where I want. If I want the font maybe just to be brighter white, you know, whatever you want to do. Maybe this is the wrong shade of blue. You want something a little, you know, whatever. You can tweak it like that, and then you hit save, and it'll save to your live site. All right, so that's the main differences that you can do now with adjustments on the login screen. And of course, obviously, you can also go to your general settings and go to custom HTML, and here is where you can put the whatever you want to appear. This one here, down here. Now I did, if you go into reveal the HTML, I did put some, this is on the front page. I think you're going to basically adhere to some Bootstrap 4 CSS. So which you don't have to use, but it just makes it easier to do alignment and stuff like that. I might put some of this stuff on the repository and that's open source, and just to let you guys see how I'm doing it, because the way I have it set up right here, it does line up, and it actually, if you look here, it's actually spaced properly and it's centered, so it looks good. So if you want to know how to do that, I can probably put it in a shared or open repository. You can just grab some sample code there, or I'll put it on the help desk site. That's probably even easier. All right, so let's go back to the login screen, because now we're going to go through some of this, because you're probably thinking, what is this welcome back? Am I logged out? Yes, this is logged out, this view. So what's different now, and it's really going to make things so much better when it comes to password recovery and notifications, and it's going to be expanded on a lot. Like right now, it's just designed to start to work for doing authentication, but it's going to be expanded, and I'll go into that just a little bit more in just a moment. But let's start off what this would look like if you've never been on the site, or if you haven't logged in with this new screen. So let's just remove myself so this is probably what you're going to see. Let's reload this. Okay, so this is what this screen will look like if it's the first time you're on here. So it doesn't know about any user, nothing's cached, there's no, remember me or anything like that. It's just a defaulting to the email method for login. So you have email password. But you'll notice there's also, you can put an SMS or mobile number here. And then there's two other options, which is Telegram and Signal. So let's go through those just briefly. And you have to set these up. So, the first time you log in, most likely, obviously, it's just going to be the email. So if you want to be set up to log in with, say, a Signal number or SMS or a Telegram account, you have to actually set those up. So let's just say that that's the first time we're going to log in, and we want to configure that. So let's log in here with an email address, and we'll log in like we usually do here. Okay, so now if you go to the profile here, you'll notice there's now two items here. It used to just be, I think, my profile. I think we might have changed the name of this, but it's my profile, and then there's also user security. So profile is just if you want to change your name, the profile photo, and some regional stuff like what's your default language and things like that. So where you want to go to manage security, which would be your logins, your 2FA, or anything like that, is on that one. So on here, I don't have 2FA enabled, and if I want to change the password, I can do that from here as well. That procedure has changed a little bit as well. Does basically the same thing, but in order to change your password, you're going to go through a little process here, which is pretty self-explanatory. I don't think I need to go through that one. So this login identity providers is where you set up all those options that we were looking at. So in this case, like I've got, because I've been testing on this with this test portal, I've got one of, I think, pretty much each of these. You can add multiple. You can have multiple emails. You can have multiple SMS numbers. Like if you set up just one, I would always, you're going to have your default one for email, but I would set up one or two more just in case for some reason you can't get the email or you're not getting the SMS. I like Signal and Telegram just because they're more secure. I don't really like SMS for things like 2FA and logging in, because I just don't think they're nearly as secure. Same thing with email, really. Okay, so let's run through this. If you want to set one up, you're just going to click Add, and you're going to, let's get this correct. Actually, it doesn't really matter. If you start putting the number in, let's see. And it's probably not going to like that because it's not a real number. But you put a phone number in here, you're going to send a validation code. And this is for Signal. So what's going to happen is I'm going to get the code, and then it's going to ask me to put the code in, and that confirms that I own the number and the Signal account. And then it's going to create the record here. And I can test it. I can just click here, send a test to it. And I just got, you can see that in the corner there. I just got the push notification on my desktop, so it's working. So, and I can do the same thing with Telegram. Now the Telegram one, it's just a little bit different. When you click to add, it's a little bit of a different procedure. So when you click continue, it will actually try to open, if this is the browser, it will open a Telegram link, and then it will just, you can say continue, and then it'll just walk you through a little procedure where you'll say, do you want to approve this? Do you want to, link your account? And you'll say yes, and then it will just show up here. It will actually appear on your screen right here. And then going forward, you can use that account to actually authenticate if you need to. SMS works just like Signal. But it's not using Signal. It's using SMS for sending. And email, same thing, pretty straightforward. Yeah, you click to add an email. It's going to send you a confirmation code. And you're going to enter it, and then your email is confirmed. So it's pretty easy to manage these, to enable them. You cannot delete. You can delete any of these. You just can't remove your primary email, because that's still, at least for now, that is the default that we have to keep, so that because that's also the way you search for users in many parts of the application right now. Like when you're adding users or searching for users, we're still kind of doing that by email, but doesn't necessarily have to stay that way. So we'll see what happens with that. So let's just log out again, and let's look at what that looks like. So now that I logged in once, see, now it knows who I am. So it's saying welcome back, and then you can just enter your password to continue. If you're using a password manager, usually just fill in for you. If I want to log in as another user, like I come to this computer screen and I'm not Tony, I want to log in as another user, then it again puts me back in this situation where I can log in with an email address, SMS, Signal, whatever. I can still have the option of going back and logging in as Tony, and if I really don't want to, I can click this and it will just completely remove. It will remove the user from this browser. All right. Just understand, you're not logged in right now. It just knows who was logged in here before. That's all it knows. And you also can't see who it was. I mean, you can't see. So for example, if I need assistance getting logged in, I forgot the password or whatever, if I click forgot password, I can actually click on here and say, send me an OTP, a one-time password, so I can get logged back in. So in this case, I'll say Signal, I'll hit send. I just got the message. Let's put the code in, 224018, and it's going to get me in, just like that. I was able to just now log in using Signal. So if I really did forget the password, all I got to do now is go over to user security, hit change password, and I'll send a code to Signal again for the confirmation, which I'm going to enter here, and then put a new password here and here. Put it here and then repeat the password there and hit save. Really simple to do. You can do the same thing with this to any of the login identifiers, whatever identities that you've already configured. You can send the code, including an email or an SMS or even Telegram. So that makes it so that there's no way someone can actually change your password, even if they were able to open the link in the email. If they don't have access to the account, to one of these accounts, they are not going to be able to change the password. Even if they got logged in, if they can't get access to one of these, they will not be able to change the password. So, and I would go a step further. It says it in here in the information about these login identity providers that even though these kind of behave like two-factor authentication, you should still enable two-factor authentication. I would enable it on the portal because it is optional, but I would use 2FA because even if you're going to do let me show you how this. Well, I'm not going to go through it now because I don't have it enabled. If you do that one time with that OTP, I think that still is going to require the 2FA. Yeah, because we have to assume that it's possible that somebody could have still tried to intercept or hijack the account. And if 2FA is enabled, you're still going to have to enter the 2FA code, even though you ask for the OTP. It's just a precaution to have that extra step. So this initial release using these new identity providers is going to be just pretty much for authentication right now, even though these would all work just fine, really, if you were going to use them for notifications. But in order to do that, we do have to do a little bit of tweaking with things like templates, because you can't send, for example, if you wanted to use these to send out notifications about payments or new invoices and things like that. Right now, those are sent out with HTML. And so for every template, at least that could do notifications, then we would probably have to have a text-based alternative that these other providers could easily send to these platforms. And then, of course, it will include links that will work fine. So if it's something where somebody needs to click to get sorry, not the email, the invoice copy or something like that, they can just click the link, which would log them in, automatically, and then they can view it. We might be able to do attachments. I think we can do that with Signal and Telegram without too much difficulty. So we'll see about that. But that'll come pretty soon. All right. So that's pretty much most of what is visible to what you can see that's changed. Like I said, a lot of old code has been rewritten, but these things are typically, a lot of this stuff is just on the back and you won't see it, but it's running. It's running using new API endpoints that have been completely rewritten. So if they're not faster, they're at least more efficient, and it means that we can change things, roll out new features much easier than when we're dealing with a ton of old code that almost always creates a bunch of headaches when you're trying to, retrofit something with, mixing the old code with the new. It gets really hectic. So the more we can remove all that old stuff, the better. And actually, at this point, it's very close. I mean, there's very little left. It's the old stuff, so that makes me feel better. It will definitely accelerate getting new features rolled out, having all that old stuff getting purged out of here. I will probably make shorter video. This is about going to be close to 30 minutes by the time I'm done. So I'm probably going to break this down since this one's more like kind of an announcement and a primer. I'll probably make a video for each of these features that just shows how to do like one thing at a time. In other words, how to link a Signal account, how to link an SMS account, things like that, how to set up your Telegram account. So all the video does is show you step by step how to do those. Look for that to come out, very shortly, probably in the next, few days or a week or so. I just need enough time to step away from all this code work that's been going on for the last few months. By the way, this what just got released now is about 4 months of work, probably a little bit more because some of it was worked on before. But since I was looking at what was the last major release, and it's been about 4 months, so this is a lot of stuff that's just been ongoing every day, working on this, getting stuff ready for this release. All right, well, that's it for now. That's, like I said, I didn't want to hit more than 30 minutes. So I'll conclude here. If you run into any issues, click on the Get Help button here, either here or on the knowledge base. You can do it there as well. And just contact us and let me know what's going on. Let me know if you like it. I'd love to get feedback. If you think something isn't very intuitive or would be better if we change it, I'd love to hear from you on that too, negative or positive. All right, have a great weekend. We'll talk to you soon.